I was a waitress, and a young man from wealthy families would cast glances at me, and upon leaving, they would generously give me a tip, so I would smile and thank them. But one day, 24-year-old Aryan made me a bad offer. Yet I went with him after thinking about it. Then I was shocked and lost my mind when I was in Aryan's room in the middle of the night. My name is Heba, and I used to work at a local boutique hotel. One afternoon, while I was carefully setting up and prepping one of the dining table, the manager called me over. He told me that this specific table had been reserved well in advance for a very special guest who would be arriving shortly, and he instructed me to go freshen up and make sure I look my absolute best. I stared at him in complete disbelief. I had been working at this hotel for an entire year, and not once had the manager ever asked me to get all dressed up for a guest. Yes, sir, I replied. He told me the guest would be arriving in 30 minutes and that I had to handle every detail of their service personally today. Can you handle this? He asked. Yes, sir, I've got it, I assured him. I had a full year of hospitality experience under my belt and had dealt with all kind of customers. I always maintain a very polished appearance. I am only 20 years old, but my actual life experience goes far beyond my age. I live a modest life anchored by very big dreams. Through the path to achieving them is incredibly steep. I am a full-time college student living on campus in the university room. My home is in a small rural town where my mother lives all by herself. Life back home is simple, but it is filled with hardship. My mother devoted her entire life to raising me, but now that I am here in the city, she is left all alone. It has been a whole year since last saw my mother. Between my heavy course load and my work schedule, getting any time off is virtually impossible. Yet my heart is constantly filled with memories of her and the moments we share. The owner of the hotel, Mr. Wasim, is an extremely strict man who tolerates zero mistakes at work, which makes working here anything but easy. I stay on my feet from morning until late at night, serving customers and trying to put a genuine smile on their faces. Sometimes I feel like my real smile has gotten lost behind this forced customer service mask, but I keep telling myself that all of this is temporary. The hardest lesson I have learned while working at the hotel is that you have to endure whatever behavior customer throw at you. No matter how much pain or frustration you are feeling on the inside, you have to serve them with a smile, and that is exactly what happened this time. The moment that special guest arrived, he was instantly furious about something, panicking. I quickly stepped in and said, Mr. Aryan, please just give me 2 minutes. I gently guided him toward a quieter corner of the room. Sir, I am a college student working here to pay my tuition and living expenses, I pleaded, looking up at him with desperation in my eyes. If you file a formal complaint against me, I will be fired immediately. Please don't say anything to the manager. As I looked at him with pleading eyes, a faint smile appeared on his face. My heart was pounding out of sheer fear. He turned around, walked back, and took his seat. He began talking to his friend. Though I couldn't hear what they were saying at first, I stood nervously near their table. Aryan's friend ordered a round of drinks, and as I stood in front of their table to take the order, bits of their conversation drifted over to me. His friend was saying to Aryan, if you don't even like Ria, why don't you just call off the wedding? You are powerful and wealthy enough on your own. Why force yourself to marry a rich girl against your will? Take my advice. If you don't want this relationship, just break off the engagement. I heard every word, but I kept my head down and continued working silently. Every now and then, I stopped by their table to check if they needed anything else. By the end of the shift, the constant running around had completely exhausted me. Aryan signaled for the check, so I brought the bill to the table. After paying, he left me 1,000 tip. I stood there in complete shock. We usually get around 200 to 300 in tips by table advanced, but I had never seen a tip anywhere near this size. Aryan looked at me and said, you provided exceptional service tonight. Thank you so much, sir, I replied softly, taking the slip and heading back to the kitchen to wrap up my remaining tasks. It was already 1 a.m. and only a few guests remained in the hotel. Time was running out, but the work was far from over. I still had to clear the remaining tables and assist with kitchen cleanup. By the time everything was finished, I checked my watch. It was 2 a.m. I was completely drained and the rest of the wait staff looked just exhausted. We all pitched in to finish the final task quickly and lock up the hotel for the night. I was so tired, I just wanted to collapse and sleep right there, but I still had a long walk back to the campus dorm. As I stepped outside in the cool night air, I slid the money Aryan had given me into my pocket and started thinking, could I do something special with this cash? Maybe send a gift to my mom or buy a new set of textbooks. But I quickly reminded myself that I needed to stretch every single dollar carefully. The night was dead quiet as I made my way toward the dome. I trudged along wondering how long it would take me to cover the 2 kilometer walk. My mind was racing question memories from the night, Aryan's conversation with his friend, his demeanor, and that massive tip he handed me. What did it all mean? Was it just a pity from a wealthy man, or was there something else behind it? Suddenly, a car pulled up from behind me and came to a stop. Fears fight through me. I turned around nervously, only to see Aryan stepping out of the vehicle. How are you getting back to your dome? She asked. My dome is about 2 kilometers from here. I explained. My shift always ends at this time, and there's no public transit running, so I just walk. He looked at me in the utter disbelief. Get in the car, I'll drive you back to campus. I quietly got into the passenger seat, unsure of why I trusted him so easily. Perhaps I figured a man as wealthy as him had no reason to harbor bad intention toward a poor girl like me. He pulled up to the university gate and asked, "You stay in these dorms?" I looked at him and smiled softly, and he smiled right back at me. I got out of the car and walked toward the entrance. When I glanced back over my shoulder, Aryan was still parked there, watching to make sure I made it inside safely. I was completely exhausted that night, yet my mind kept racing about back to Aryan. A soft smile crept onto my face every time I thought about him. That 1,000 tip was going to be a massive relief. I always struggled to cover my basic expenses, and my regular hourly wage was never enough. I relied entirely on tips to get by. Before I knew it, sleep finally pulled me under. When I opened my eyes the next morning, I felt a deep sense of physical relief as the previous night's exhaustion slowly melted away. I got dressed and headed straight to my morning classes. The day felt oddly special, likely lingering from the encounter with Aryan. Even during my lectures, my mind kept drifting back to him. His word, his gaze, his action, all deeply embedded in my heart. But I kept telling myself it was just a chance encounter and that I shouldn't read too much into it. Later, I found out that he actually owned a major luxury hotel chain with locations all across the country. Why on earth had he come to a modest little hotel instead of staying at one of his own end properties? I also learned more about his engagement to that girl named Ria. After seeing their names mentioned together online, there were dozens of photos of them on the internet, and Ria clearly came from immense wealth. I tried to push all thoughts of Ria and Aryan out of my mind. Why would a man like that ever be interested in someone like me? I had worked tirelessly just to get into college, but at the end of the day, I was just a simple farmer's daughter whose mother was back home working the fields all alone. Just thinking about my mother brought a wave of sadness over my face. As soon as my lecture ended, I sprinted out of the building to make it to my shift at the hotel. I ended up arriving 5 minutes late. The manager immediately called me into his office. "You are late again today," he said sternly. "How many times have I told you to be on time so everything is prepped before the guests arrive?" "I'm so sorry, sir," I pleaded. "I ran here the second my class finished. You know I'm a full-time student." "Listen," he cut me off. "This is a place of business and these daily excuses are not going to cut it anymore. I can't keep someone like you on staff. Pack your things and find work somewhere else." I stood there in complete shock. I had given an entire year of my life to this job and in a second he was firing me. "Sir, I was only 5 minutes late," I argued, trying one last time to save my job. I stay past 2 a.m. every single night to finish the work, sometimes until 3 a.m., working uncompensated negotiated over time. How can you fire me over 5 minutes? This job is my only lifeline. Without it, how am I going to pay for my tuition and rent? The manager looked at me coldly. Everyone else manages to get here on time. If you can't, I can give you a chance. You can leave now. Tears instantly welled up in my eyes. I tried desperately to hold them back, but I couldn't. I stood there frozen for a moment before turning around and walking away slowly. I had no idea what I was going to do. As I stepped out of the hotel, it felt as though the ground had been pulled out from under my feet. I had been attached to this job for a whole year and now it was suddenly over. I had no job and no income. You can't lose hope, I told myself sternly. You have to keep moving forward. You have a dream and you have to do whatever it takes to reach it. I called my mother on my walk back, but I couldn't bring myself to tell her I had been fired. I didn't want to worry her. A single thought kept looping in my head. What happens now? How will I pay my college fees? Will I even be able to find another job? As I walked back crying, suddenly got the uneasy feeling that someone was following me. I turned around, but the sidewalk was empty. I kept walking, but the sensation of being watched wouldn't go away. I figured I was just paranoid because of how terrible the day had been. On the way, my friend called me and I broke down crying on the phone. I gave a whole year of my life to the hotel and they threw me out in a heartbeat. Honestly, Hiba, it sounds like something else went down. My friend said thoughtfully, the manager got a private phone call right before he called you in, and immediately after hanging up, he decided to fire you. Her words hit me like a ton of brick. My mind started spinning. Who could have complained about me? A few days ago, a group of young boys had acted disrespectfully towards me and I had been shoved them out. Could it have been them? That incident had caused a huge scene. Maybe the manager used it as an excuse to let me go. I arrived back at the dorm completely distraught. Tomorrow I would have to start hunting for work again, or I wouldn't survive the month. As I sat there stressing, my phone rang. I picked up and voice on the other side said, I came to your hotel yesterday. I'm sorry, sir. I replied confused. I'm not at the hotel today and I won't be able to help you. I lost my job, but you provided us with such incredible service. The caller said, sir, someone probably complained about me and that's why I lost my job. I said bitterly. Don't worry, the voice replied. I'll talk to Aryan and see. Maybe you can get a job at one of his hotels. I was desperate for employment. Half an hour later, the caller dialed me back. Head to the address I just texted you in 30 minutes for an interview. I immediately rushed out the door, but questions were swirling in my mind. Where did he get my phone number? I never get it to him. An interview arranged in 30 minutes felt completely bizarre, and I had no idea who was waiting for me. The moment I stepped through the campus gate, I got a second massive shock. Aryan was standing right outside, leaning against his arm. I stared at him in the utter astonishment. He looked at me and said, I was waiting for you. Get in. I need to go to this address for a job interview, I said, showing him my phone. He smiled. That's my company. I felt a surge of strange emotion standing near him. Aryan chuckled softly to himself and then looked at me. Forgive me. You lost that job because of me. My jaw dropped. You were the one who complained? He smirked politely. I didn't have to say much. I just called your manager and told him to release you and terminate your employment. A wave of pure anger washed over me. Why would he do that? I gave you excellent service yesterday. If you had a complaint, you could have told me directly. I was already having a terrible day and hearing this make it 100 times worse. He looked at me calmly. You have an interview to get through. Don't ruin your mood or you won't get the job. And whose fault is that? I snapped. You are the reason I lost my first job. Your manager was making you work until 2 a.m. and forcing you to walk 2 kilometers alone in dark, Aryan said, his voice dropping into a serious tone. Customers were disrespecting you and treating you like a joke. What if something dangerous happened to you one night? You are doing exceptionally well in university. Why waste your time on a dead-end job like that? If you have big dreams, you need to reach for the top, not a trap in a place like that. His words felt harsh and blunt, but deep down I know he was telling the absolute truth. continued. I went quiet and took a few deep breaths to compose myself. Aryan conducted the job interview himself right there and hired me on the spot for a position at his hotel. As soon as you graduate, I want you to step into a corporate management role here, he said. He looked at me with a soft smile and continued, there is no need for you to stay in the university dorms anymore. We have corporate housing reserved for our staff. I will also provide you with a company car so you can drive to your morning classes and come back here for your shifts. I looked at him overwhelmed. Thank you so much, sir. You can just call me Aryan, he replied smoothly. The hotel general manager showed up me the ropes of my new role. It was my very first day, and as I sat at my new desk, thousands of questions ran through my mind. Will I succeed in this new job? Can I prove myself worthy of this responsibility? As I sat there thinking, I could sense Aryan watching me with deep interest. I began to realize that Aryan's word held genuine truth. No one else had ever shown that level of concern for my safety and future. Yet at the same time, I still felt a lingering sting of frustration. He had ripped my old job away from me without asking. But why go to all this trouble? Was there a deeper reason behind this action? I began convincing myself that Aryan's intentions were not bad. He was truly looking out for my safety and my future. Till the sudden shift was overwhelming. He had completely altered the trajectory of my life in a single afternoon. The atmosphere at this luxury hotel was night and compared to my old job. There was no chaotic running around like a traditional server, but the level of responsibility was far higher. Sitting at the front desk, I greeted every incoming and outgoing guest with a polished smile. Though my mind was still spinning, Aryan had promised that this role would open new doors for me, reminding me that once I finished my degree, I would transition straight into a management position. Hearing that filled me with excitement, but it also terrified me. Would I truly be able to handle that level of corporate responsibility? When my shift finally ended, I went back to my new staff apartment. I was exhausted, but for the first time into a long time, my heart felt completely at peace. I had a secure job with Aryan's backing. My future looked brighter than ever. Aryan's presence had made a massive impact on my life. He hadn't just given me a job, he had redirected my entire life path. Harsh as his method were, his words were grounded in reality. He had shown me a path toward actually achieving my dreams. Earlier, Aryan had asked me what was your salary at that old job, including tips. I managed to bring in around 3,000 a month. I had told him. He had smiled and said, I'll pay you 10,000 a month here. How does that sound? My eyes had nearly popped out of my head. Here, I wouldn't have to endure rude look or disrespect from customers. I could work comfortably at a desk and even study during quiet downtime. Pondering all of this in my new room, I drifted off into a deep, restful sleep. 2 or 3 days passed smoothly. I quickly picked up the work duties and felt happier than I had been in years. Then, late one night after I had already turned in, my phone suddenly rang. It was Aryan. Come up to my suite right now. He ordered, sir, my shift ended hours ago and I was just going to sleep. I replied hesitantly. Do as I say, he said firmly. I'm your boss. I felt a surge of frustration toward Aryan. This was the downside of living in staff housing. He could call me up whenever he pleased. I had morning classes the next day and didn't want to go up at all. But I had no choice. When I reached the suite, I saw the door standing slightly ajar. I knocked lightly and stepped inside, and my heart instantly dropped into my stomach. At the state of the room, Aryan was usually meticulous about neatness and order, but the suite was a total disaster. Furniture overturned, glass broken, and belongings scattered everywhere, looking as though a violent fight had taken place. Aryan was sitting on the floor in a far corner of the room, drenched in sweat and shaking uncontrollably. I rushed over to him, terrifying thoughts racing through my head. What on earth happened to him? I finally understood why he had called me up at such an ungodly hour. I grabbed a package of tissues and began wiping the sweat from his forehead. I gripped his arm firmly to help stabilize his violent shivering. Checking his body to see if he was physically injured, I could quickly fetch a glass of water and help him drink it. He drank it frantically like a helpless child. Some water spilled down his chest, so I wrapped my arms around him to lift him up. Come on, let's get you onto the sofa. Don't sit on the cold floor. He looked utterly shattered and I couldn't comprehend what had triggered his state with considerable effort. I supported his weight and helped him sit on the couch. Aryan, should I call a doctor? I asked urgently. No, he whispered, his voice trembling. Just stay with me. He gripped my hand so tightly that it actually began to hurt, but I didn't pull away. He clearly needed someone to hold on to. I sat beside him, gently massaging his arm, hands and legs to ease the tension, but his body wouldn't stop shaking. Tremendous fear and distress were etched across his face, leaving me completely at a loss as to what was wrong. I stayed right beside Aryan, refusing to leave his side. I was overcome with a severe fatigue and fought hard to stay awake, but eventually I succumbed to exhaustion, resting my head against Aryan's shoulder and falling into a deep sleep. I woke up abruptly to a choke cry. I found myself lying comfortably on the sofa with Aryan having a soft pillow under my head. I looked over and saw Aryan standing near the bed in a state of sheer emotional collapse. I ran over to him asking what was wrong. Through tears, he finally opened up to me. He revealed that both of his parents had tragically passed away in a devastating car accident, leaving him completely alone in the world with no real support system. And to make matters worse, his fiancée had abandoned him shortly after the tragedy. I stayed by his side and cared for him through his darkest hours. A week later, Aryan asked me to marry him. I had no one left in the world either, so I said yes. We got married and I brought my mother from the village to come live with us in a new life together.